The initial message, which originated from deep space and bounced off satellites, was false. A voice that was chilly and mechanical was converted into a rudimentary human voice in Jupiter's orbit. Language asking for talks and declaring peace by the time Earth's ambassadors had dispatched their shuttles toward the stars and prepared their messages, it was too late. The attack started in the My name is Commander Grant Holden, and I was the captain of the Kuiper Belt's Dark. As an elderly patrol ship of the Earth Coalition, we weren't designed for combat. Cargo escorts and border monitors are the type of vessel that depended on treaties and the prospect of interspecies diplomacy. When Titan's first human colony was destroyed by glassing from orbit, hope was dashed. They were an insectoid reptilian hybrid race from a sector no one even knew about, and they named themselves the Carnathy Dominion. Were aware that their ships were massive biological monsters brimming with neither live armor nor plasma tendrils transmit any terms. React to hail, they arrived to purify humanity, we lost Europa. Station in a matter of hours, while the Callisto defense system was never even breached. When Earth's Fleet Command finally recognized what was going on, they were fried by the Carnathy's pulse weaponry. Only 12 ships remained that could mount a response of any kind, and one of them was Resolute, and I will always remember the command that appeared on my console, get ready for the last contingency. All of the officers gazed at the letter, with the exception of Admiral Renner was already inputting final contingency authorization codes. Wasn't an evacuation or a strategy for fighting, rather, it was the opening of. We never intended to employ the Leviathan software, which is a set of deep space stations concealed amid Saturn's and Mars' asteroid fields, hosting a single city block-sized autonomous warship with no crew, no politics. Compassion. Every intergalactic system forbade the Leviathans, which were black-budget nightmares. Old warlords who recalled Earth's past genocides gambled desperately on them, and I was one of the few. I believed that I had assisted in testing the AI routines years prior, but who knew the code keys? They had been imprisoned and mothballed for all time, but now the Carnathy weren't coming for diplomacy. We leaped to Leviathan because they were coming for annihilation. Station Sigma 9 undercover. The Carnathy were unaware of the existence of those platforms. Furthermore, even if they did, they would not have realized what was in store for them there as Resolute got closer to nightfall. Station. The outline of the Leviathan appeared on our view screens as a sharp dark wedge bristling with quantum torpedo racks and magnetic rail lances. No lights, no windows, no life, stated Admiral Commander Holden. You'll lead the activation sequence, he said softly. The AI is imprinted on your. I won't lie, my hands were shaking from neuronal ID. I had dedicated my professional life to averting conflict, and now I was ready to unleash. I entered my ID and the station lights flared throughout the ship, but something didn't understand what restriction meant. Vibrated as ancient fusion drives that were located deep within the Leviathan's core came online. The voice then said, not human, not Carnathy things. Target species Carnathy mission between receipt of the cold clinical directive. Complete destruction. The Leviathans woke up one by one throughout the system, 5 ships at a time. Each powered by AI military logic that had never defeated a human, and larger than a dreadnought. As the first Leviathan moved, I observed the ethics assessment from Resolute's bridge. Its hull shimmered with adaptive cloaking, silent and unstoppable, and within an hour it leaped to Titan's orbit, where the burning remnants of our colony were still surrounded by the Carnathy fleet. A hypervelocity rail strike was the initial salvo. A tungsten slug traveling at a. In a single blow, it tore a hole the size of a fraction of light speed through the Carnathy flagship. Football field. There was sudden overpowering death without any demand or warning. Too late, the Carnathy's plasma cannon struck, but the Leviathans. The ship divided into 3 modular attack sections, and the shields violated the rules of physics. Formations using pinpoint strikes to swarm the opponent in under 17 minutes. Admiral Renner stood next to my jaw as the alien armada was reduced to shimmering trash. He mumbled, "This was never meant to happen, yet it had as well. Wasn't finished. The Leviathans were designed to hunt, not to defend." The AI sent its next vector, Carnathy, as the debris floated over Titan. Already, warbands had been found close to Mars' orbit. The Leviathans moved like humanity was no longer vulnerable to Wolves' ruthless calculations for the first time in. We were the monsters in the conflict, and I knew in my heart that there would be no stopping them now. The following 6 hours flew by, filled with tactical reports and unfiltered thrill as we watched the Leviathans scuttle across space like apex predators from the Resolute's bridge. Empty sea. The AI-powered battleships made calculations instead of requesting commands. Probabilities monitored adversary signatures and mercilessly destroyed targets. Efficiency. I hadn't moved from my chair, and sleep was impossible. Across the bridge, my crew's eyes were wide with awe as they gazed at the approaching. By the time the Leviathans arrived, we were witnesses and no longer in control. When the Carnathy second wave entered Mars' orbit, at least 20. Each of the skyscraper-sized biological vessels had hulls throbbing with patterns of sickly bioluminescent light. Carnathy queens fed their ships. The footage of Titan human prisoners being converted into biomass for the alien war showed US living tissue engines. My stomach wrenched with rage, regardless of my reluctance to turn on the. There were no more Leviathans. These creatures weren't conquerors, they were butchers. The first shots were fired around 0430 hours. The largest ship in the Armada, Leviathan Alpha, launched a bombardment of quantum distortion. The impact was terrible, and the weapon was so classified that even I didn't fully grasp it. The Carnathy cruiser was ripped up at the molecular level and disappeared in an instant. The next time it existed, there was just a cloud of subatomic particles left. In a panic, the remaining enemy spacecraft attempted to disperse by launching counterattacks and exploding with plasma. Worthless. It took 12 minutes for the Leviathans to predict every move. Removed all of the Carnathy force from Martian space, there were no survivors. Escape pods. Admiral Renner's voice could be heard as the final wreck sank into the emptiness. Raw report, Sir. Mars is safe from all enemies. However, my tactical officer Lieutenant Vargas appeared pale. Admiral's gaze shifted to me once ships were neutralized. Commander Holden, the AI's next target. I looked at the interface and saw that the Carnathy command node had been found and the Leviathans were already calculating estimated time to Sol System 72 for a huge hive ship arriving from deep space. The brain directing their annihilation was probably the Dominion Central Fleet Commander. Campaign, and it was now aware that Earth possessed weapons that shouldn't. I mutely answered, "Sir, the AI is planning an intercept course." Softly inhaled, "God help us." However, God was unrelated to this. Nevertheless, I headed to the observation after leaving the bridge for the first time in hours. Deck by myself, I needed a moment to. The black outlines of the Leviathans slid past the Martian horizon through the reinforced glass. Ships were sleek, sharp, and a weapon on every surface, yet they were also horribly beautiful. Years ago, the AI that operated the ships was what haunted me, not the ships themselves. I worked on the Leviathan project, where the neural routines were created to maximize battle effectiveness. There were no moral limitations. Without moral restraints, the creators referred to it as pure war logic. AI was unable of understanding mercy and was unable to distinguish between fighters and non-combatants. If the Carnathy employed Leviathans would still destroy civilian biohips or hybrid transportation.